Hare Krishna, Pranam dear devotee. Let's start the Kirtan. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Vishitarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining to continue our reading of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we are on the 24th chapter, the different explanations of the Atmarama verse, and we'll be starting with verse 221 today. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna. So in today's section, very, very interesting topics are going to be discussed. First of all, some technical meanings of some words, and then one very beautiful story will start, which will help us understand to a greater extent what is the importance of devotee association. If we get the chance to associate with a pure devotee of Lord Krishna, how valuable that is, and how it can greatly impact our consciousness and completely change the way our life is moving. That is going to be very clearly explained through this story, and I'm sure all of you have heard the story earlier. It is a story of Narad Muni and Mrigari. So in today's section, that story will just start, and it is very, very, very nectarian, very beautiful. It helps us understand the glory of Narad Muni. As we have discussed earlier also, in many movies or serials, they don't depict Narad Muni very accurately. They make him like a character who's putting things in people's minds, making people quarrel, or he's taking information from here and giving it there, passing on like this. In a very different way, Narad Muni is depicted, but we have to understand his very elevated position. There are so many great devotees who were guided by Narad Muni, like Bharat Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, and in this case, we'll see as we start reading the verses, we'll see the extent of the extent of the consciousness of Negari, to what extent it had gone down, and how from that low consciousness he was lifted up to a very, very elevated consciousness. That is the story of Mrigari, which we will start today. Okay, so let's start with 221. First of all, there are some verses which are describing some technical meanings, and then we go on to the story. Okay, so Shobha Mataji, please read Mataji.
हरिबोल प्रणाम माताजी कृष्णराज कविराज गोस्वामी की जय शब्दे चामुच्चये आरात्तकाय आत्मा रामस्य मुनयस्य कृष्णेर भजाया. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jay. As mentioned above, the word cha can be used to mean aggregate. According to this meaning, all the Atma Ramas and Munis engage in Krishna's service. Besides aggregate, there is another meaning of the word cha. Haribol. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. So, like we have been reading in this chapter, the Lord is taking, first of all the verse, and then the Lord is taking different parts of the verse. He's taking each word and explaining how each word can mean differently, and then how all the meanings can be brought together. So here he is mentioned that the word cha can be used to mean aggregate. According to this meaning, all the Atma Ramas and Munis engage in Krishna's service. So this is one meaning of cha. In the next shloka, we'll read another meaning of cha. Okay. So would someone like to read 222? Sudha Mataji. Yes, Mataji, Pranam. Please read.
Pranam. Nirgrantahaya iha apsi nirdharane Ramasya Krishnasya yata vihara vane. Translation by Divine Guru Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. The word Nirgrantha can be used as an adjective and api can be used in the sense of certainty. For instance, Ramasya Krishnasya means that both Rama and Krishna enjoy walking in the forest. Purport by Divine Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Because it is said that both Rama and Krishna enjoy wandering in the forest, it is understood that both of them are enjoying their tour within the forest. Thank you, Madhya.
So this is helping us understand the technical meanings of the word. So the word nirgrantha can be used as an adjective, and api can be used in the sense of certainty. So the example is given that if we say that Ramascha Krishnascha, it means that both Ram and Krishna enjoy walking in the forest. So Prabhupada is explaining in the purport that because it is said that both Ram and Krishna enjoy wandering in the forest, it is understood that both of them are enjoying their tour within the forest. So it is being said with certainty. That sense of certainty is there. That they, that both Ram and enjoy walking in the forest, this certainly means that both of them are enjoying their tour within the forest. Okay. Now let's go to 223. Hari Bol, would someone like to read? Yeah, Archana Mataji. Yes, please read.
Hare Krishna, pranams.
No.
शब्दे अन्वाचाये अर्थ कहे आरा भतो भिक्षाम अतगाम च आनय yache pragara. Hare Krishna. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The word cha can also present a secondary meaning, secondary thing to be done at the same time. This way of understanding the word cha is called anvachaye. An example is, O Brahmachari, go out to collect alms and at the same time bring in the cows. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So now this another meaning that it can also present a secondary thing. So if we are giving an instruction for something to be done, there is one thing which is the first instruction, and along with that something else also needs to be done. So it can be used for that secondary thing to be done at the same time. So this way of understanding the word cha is called anvachaye. Okay, so every word, the way it is used differently, there is a different term for that usage. So this way of understanding the word cha is called anvachaye. So this example is given that if an instruction is given, the O Brahmachari, go out to collect alms and at the same time bring in the cows. So here two instructions are being given. A secondary thing is also to be done at the same time. Okay. Padma Mataji, 224.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Mataji Atma Rama Api Bhaje Gauna Artha Kaya. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Saintly persons who are always meditating upon Krishna are engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. The Atma Ramas are also engaged in the Lord's service. That's an indirect import. Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah, Mataji, you want to read the purport or should I?
Yeah, I'll read. The Anvachaya meaning of the word cha indicates that between the two words compounded by the word cha, one is given no importance and the other is considered subordinate. For example, O Brahmachari, please go out and collect alms and at the same time bring in the cows. In this statement, the collection of alms is of first importance and the second business of collecting the cows is subordinate. Similarly, one who always meditates upon Krishna is mainly a devotee of Krishna, engaged in his devotional service. Other Atma Ramas are subordinate in devotional service. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So here this concept of one thing being more important and the other thing being subordinate to that is being discussed. So it is mentioned that saintly persons who are always meditating upon Krishna are engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. The Atma Ramas are also engaged in the Lord's service. That is the indirect import. So Prabhupada is explaining that the anvachaye meaning of the word cha indicates that between two words compounded by the word cha, that means joined by the word cha, one is given more importance and the other is subordinate. So in that example of O Brahmachari, go out and collect alms and at the same time bring in the cows, go out and collect alms. That's the primary instruction. That is of first importance. And the second business of collecting cows is subordinate. So as you are going to collect alms, bring in the cows also. So one is the primary instruction and the second is subordinate. Similarly, Prabhupada explains that one who always meditates upon Krishna is mainly a devotee of Krishna engaged in his devotional service. Okay, because for a devotee, the entire day is full of Krishna conscious activities because they have structured their life, they have structured their daily schedule in such a way that everything reminds them of Krishna, that everything is for the service of Krishna. So one who is always meditating upon Krishna is mainly a devotee of Krishna engaged in his devotional service. Because if one is just sitting and trying to meditate, the mind can take us here and there and everywhere, and that concentration breaks. But for a devotee, it is possible to maintain that concentration because they are doing something very practical. And in that practical way, they are engaging all their senses as well as their mind in Krishna's service. So it is mentioned that other Atmaramas are subordinate in devotional service. So the supremacy of devotional service is explained. Okay. 225. Shobha Mataji, please read.
Krishna Mataji, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Krishnaraj Kaviraj Goswami ki jai. Text 225. Jai evate munaya eva, Krishnere bhajaya, Atma Rama api garha artakaya. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The word cha can also be used to indicate a certainty that only saintly persons are engaged in rendering devotional service to Krishna. In the combination Atma Rama Api is used in the sense of censure. Haribol. Thank you, Mother.
Thank you, Mataji. So, cha can also be used to indicate the certainty that only saintly persons are engaged in rendering devotional service. So, with certainty, it is being said that only saintly persons are engaged in rendering devotional service to Krishna. Because someone who comes to the point of rendering service to Krishna has saintly qualities. Otherwise, the mind and the senses, they pull us away in all different directions. So one has to really, that's why it is said now that bhakti is even beyond goodness. It is Shuddha Sattva. It is beyond Sattva Gun also. Shuddha Sattva, because we are not just limiting ourselves to mode of goodness activities, but even going beyond that. So one has to have a very saintly nature to be able to do that. Otherwise, we see that for people, if we greet them with Hare Krishna, many people don't even, they're not able to respond with that Hare Krishna also, right? Something which is so something which is just comes as a flow for us, something which is so common for us to say Hare Krishna, Hari Bol. For some people, they're not even able to utter that name of Krishna. They are not able to come to temples, they're not able to listen to any class, they're not able to concentrate at all on these activities of bhakti. So that's why if someone is able to do that, we have to understand that they are of a saintly nature because bhakti is very, very pure. So one has to be pure inside, saintly in the mind to be able to really take that in. So that's what it is mentioned, the 225th. Now let's go to 226. Sudha Mataji, please read Mataji. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
निर्ग्रंथहया येई दुहारा विशेषणा आर अर्थ शून्य यैचे साधुरा संगम. Translation by Divine Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. The word Nirgrantha can be taken as an adjective modifying Muni and Atmarama. There is another meaning, which you may hear from me, indicating association with a devotee. Now I shall explain how it is that through the association of devotees, even a Nirgrantha can become a devotee. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So the Lord is now going to start explaining that how through the association of devotees, even a nirgrantha can become a devotee. So it is mentioned that the word nirgrantha can be taken as an adjective modifying Muni and Atmarama. There is another meaning which you may hear from me. So that uh, association, that another meaning indicating association with the devotee is going to be explained by the Lord, and how that association is so very powerful, that will be explained. Okay. Yes, Archana Mataji, 227.
Hare Krishna. निर्ग्रंथ शब्दे का हे ताभे व्याधा निर्धना साधु संगे सेह करे श्री कृष्ण भजना. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The word nirgrantha, when combined with abhi, used in the sense of certainty, indicates a person who is a hunter by profession or who is very poor. Nonetheless, when such a person associates with a great saint like Narada, he engages in Lord Krishna's devotional service. Hare Krishna.
So nirgrantha, when combined with api, used in the sense of certainty, indicates a person who is a hunter by profession or who is very poor. So Mrigari is a hunter by profession, right? So that's what the description is going to come. And the Lord here mentions that when such a person associates with a great saint like Narad, he engages in Lord Krishna's devotional service. And we have seen this in the life of Srila Prabhupada also. The consciousness in the West was very, very degraded when Prabhupada went there. And how, step by step, one instruction at a time, and through his immense love and his service that Prabhupada rendered to them, and through his very, very strong association, how those hippies were changed to happies and they became the best of the Brahmanas. I mean, there are sannyasis who have been sannyasis in the movement for more than 50 years now, from that time, from Prabhupada's time, and that is something very, very commendable. For someone coming from a Western culture where they were doing all sorts of things, where they were not following any rules or any regulations, disregarding everything, from there to come to the level of a pure Vaishnava, to come to the level of a Brahmana or sannyasi, that is no less than a miracle, and that miracle was because of Srila Prabhupada's strong association. Okay, so in this story of Mrigari also we'll read how powerful is the association of a pure devotee, and whenever we get a chance, we should run to get to be in the presence of a pure devotee, because just by their presence, by their glance, really magical things can happen. Okay, now let's read 228. Padma Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Krishna Ramascha evaya Krishna manana vyadahana haya puja bhagavatottama. Translation by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The word Krishna Ramacha refer to one who takes pleasure in thinking of Krishna. Even though such a person may be a hunter, he is still worshipable and is the best of devotees. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. So the words Krishna Ramascha, they refer to one who takes pleasure in thinking of Krishna. So devotees of Krishna, they rejoice thinking of Krishna, talking about Krishna, reciting his glories. And it is mentioned that even though they may be a hunter, the past of the devotee doesn't really matter. They are still worshipable and they are the best of devotees because they are always thinking of Krishna. Okay. Uma Mataji, 229.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Eka bhatta radhira kata shuna sarva savadhane yaha hete haya satsanga mahima rajnane. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. I shall now narrate the story of how a hunter became a great devotee by the association of such an exalted personality as Narada Muni. From this story, one can understand the greatness of association with pure devotees. Hare Krishna.
So the story of the hunter is now going to start. How important is the association, how uplifting is the association of pure devotees is going to be explained here. Okay, now let's go to 230, verse 230. Lalita Vinodini Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Ekadina Shri Narada Deki Narayana Triveni Snane Prayaga Karila Gamana. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Once upon a time, the great saint Narada, after visiting Lord Narayana in the Vaikunthas, went to Prayaga to bathe at the confluence of three rivers, the Ganges, Yamuna, and Saraswati. You want me to read purport, Mataji? Yeah.
Yes,
Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The great saint Narada is so liberated that he can go to Vaikuntha planet to see Narayana and then immediately come to this planet in the material world and go to Prayaga to bathe in the confluence of three rivers. The word Triveni refers to the confluence of three rivers. This confluence is still visited by many hundreds of thousands of people who go there to bathe, especially during the Magha Mela, which occurs during the month of January. A liberated person who has no material body can go anywhere and everywhere. Therefore, a living entity is called Sarvaga, which indicates that he can go anywhere and everywhere. Presently, scientists are trying to go to other planets, but due to their material bodies, they are not free to move at will. However, when one is situated in his original spiritual body, he can move anywhere, everywhere, without difficulty. Within this material world, there is a planet called Siddhaloka, whose inhabitants can go from one planet to another without the aid of a mission or space rocket. In the material world, every planet has a specific advantage, that is Vibhuti Bhinna. In the spiritual world, however, all the planets and their inhabitants are composed of spiritual energy. Because there are no material impediments, it is said that everything in the spiritual world is one. Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Thank you so much.
So Narad Muni, we all know he's a transcendental spaceman, right? So after visiting Lord Narayan in the Vaikunthas, he went to Prayag. Prayag, the Triveni is there, Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, that confluence is there. So he is going there to take a bath at the Triveni. So Prabhupada is explaining in the purport that Narad Muni is so liberated that he can go to Vaikuntha planets to visit Lord Narayan, and then immediately he can come to the material world, go to Prayag at the confluence of the three rivers, and Triveni is the where Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati meet. And we all know that this is a very, very important place, very spiritually surcharged place, and many people go there to take a bath, especially during Magh Mela, which comes in January. And Prabhupada is explaining that a liberated person who has no material body can go anywhere and everywhere, and they are Sarvaga. So the scientists now are trying to go to other planets. A lot of effort is being taken, but due to their material bodies, they are not free to move at will. So it is not, it is not possible for the scientists to have this movement between different planets. But for the liberated souls, it is absolutely possible. They can do it with ease. They can move here and there without any difficulty. And Prabhupada is mentioning that there is a planet called Siddhaloka, whose inhabitants can go from one planet to another without, they don't even need any machine or space rocket. They don't need any technology. They are just competent in themselves to make this movement. In the material world, every planet has a specific advantage. In the spiritual world, however, all the planets and in their inhabitants are composed of spiritual energy. So in the spiritual world, everything is coming under Krishna's internal energy, internal potency. So it is not material at all. And there are no material impediments. So that is why it is said that everything in the spiritual world is one. Okay. Krishnamurti Prabhu, verse 231.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Pranam Mataji. Pana pate deke mraga, ache bhume padi, pana vidha bhagna, pada kare dhada padi. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada ki jai. Narada Muni saw that a deer was lying on the path through the forest and that it was pierced by an arrow. It had broken legs and was twisting due to much pain. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Prabhu. So when Narad Muni comes there at the Triveni to take a bath, there in the forest, he sees that there a deer was lying on the path, and the deer was pierced by an arrow. It had broken legs and was twisting due to much pain. Now the deer was not dead, but not even fully alive. It was in a very, very sad state with a broken leg, twisting with much pain, and had been hit by an arrow. So now let's see what happens further. Lalita Vinodini Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Arakat duri eka dekina shukara, taiche bida bhagna pada, kare dada pada. Translation by Divine Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Farther ahead, Narada Muni saw a boar pierced by an arrow. Its legs were also broken and it was twisting in pain. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Ji. Now he's moving ahead in the forest, and next he sees that there's a boar also who has been pierced by an arrow. Its legs were also broken, and it was twisting in pain. So one after another, he's seeing all these different animals which have been pierced by an arrow, and they're in a very sad state, very, very painful condition. Okay. Yeah, 233, Uma Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
ऐचे एका शशाका देके आरा कटा दूरे जीवेरा दुखा देके नारदा व्याकुल अंतरे. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. When he went Further, he saw a rabbit that was also suffering. Narada Muni was greatly pained at heart to see living entities suffer so. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So moving ahead, so he sees a deer, a boar, now a rabbit also suffering. And a devotee of Krishna is para dukha dukhi. They cannot bear the seeing the suffering of others. So Narad Muni, being a very, very great devotee of Lord Krishna, he is very pained at heart to see these living entities suffer so. Now devotees, they know the difference between body and soul. They know that we are not the bodies, we are actually souls. But that doesn't mean that they disregard the pain that is on a material level. Right? I mean, that is a very immature understanding that if someone is in pain, say physical or mental pain, and we just tell them that, you are being foolish, this pain is nothing because you're not actually this body and you are the soul. So I completely disregard that pain. Devotees don't do that. Yes, the body is material. Yes, the body is temporary. And yes, we are not the body, we are the soul. But yet, the soul is within this body and the person is feeling that pain. So, whether it is a mental pain or the bodily pain, devotees feel aggrieved seeing any kind of pain that the other person is undergoing. Once Prabhupada in Vrindavan in 1977, when towards the end of his Lila in this material world, uh, he had become so weak that he used to be carried around in a palanquin. And once he was taken for the darshan of the deities in a palanquin, and he saw that one devotee had a boil on their hand, which seemed quite painful. So even in that condition, Prabhupada was very weak physically. And Prabhupada knows the whole truth, difference between body, soul, everything he knows. But then, he told Tamal Krishna Maharaj that give me a 2 rupee note. On that 2 rupee note, Prabhupada wrote the name of the medicine and gave it to the devotee that you'll get this medicine for 2 rupees. Take this rupee, this is the name of the medicine, and get the treatment. Similarly, Malti Mataji, when she was having some rheumatic pains, Prabhupada would suggest medicines because he was a pharmacist earlier, right? He knew medicines very well. So it's not that he was disregarding this kind of pain. No. Yes, he knows and he was teaching us, everyone, that we are not this body. But when the body is undergoing some pain, Prabhupada was feeling sad for seeing that pain also, and he was trying to alleviate that pain of his disciples also. So that is how the devotees are, they understand everything, but they don't disregard a person in pain. They give due attention. They help with that physical pain also, and at the same time try to elevate the consciousness of the souls as well. Okay. Now let's read 234. Padma Mataji. Hare Krishna.
So, yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Who is it? Okay, go ahead, Mataji.
Mataji, you read this verse, then
Okay.
Uma
Okay.
Mataji will be next.
Okay, Mataji. Kata dure dekhe वृक्षे ओटा हाटा मृगा मारी बारे आचे बाना युदिया. Translation by Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Narada Muni advanced further. He saw a hunter behind a tree. This hunter was holding arrows and he was ready to kill more animals. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So now Narad Muni finally sees the hunter. Till now he was seeing all the different animals that have been hurt, and then now he sees the hunter behind a tree. He was holding arrows and he was ready to kill more animals. So already he had hit so many and he was there ready to kill more animals. Yeah, Uma Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
श्यामवर्ण रक्तनेत्रा महाभयंकर धनुर्बाणे हस्ते येना यमदंडधर. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The hunter's body was blackish. He had reddish eyes and he appeared fearless. It was as if the superintendent of death, Yamaraja, was standing there with the bow and the arrows in his hands.
Hare Krishna. So his bodily appearance is described. His body was blackish. He had reddish eyes. and he appeared fierce because, to do the act of hunting, it's not a very soft kind of a thing to be done, right? One is very aggressive. One is very in that mood of aggression and anger, and it's a very, very different kind of mood, and that's what he was in, and that's why he appeared very fierce, and his eyes were reddish, and it's mentioned that it was as if he was Yamraj, the superintendent of death, standing there with bow and arrow in his hands. Okay, now let's go to 236. Padma Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Pata jati narada निकते च लीला नारदे देखी मृगा सब पालन गेला. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. When Narada Muni left the forest path and went to the hunter, all the animals immediately saw him and fled.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So, Narad Muni, he was going to the hunter, and the hunter was hiding and trying to hunt the animals, but Narad Muni is walking freely, right? So when he's walking ahead in the forest, the animals are able to see him, and they are obviously fleeing because they are scared of his presence, right? They are getting alarmed by his presence and they are fleeing the place. Lalita Vinodini Mataji, 237.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
हृदय व्याधथारे गाली दीते छाया नारदा प्रभावे मुखे गाली नाही आया. Translation by Divendra Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. When all the animals fled, the hunter wanted to chastise Narada with abusive language. But due to Narada's presence, he could not utter anything abusive. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So the hunter is hiding and trying to kill the animals, but with Narad Muni's presence, they are all fleeing the scene. And this makes the hunter angry, obviously. So he wanted to chastise Narad Muni, that was his impulse. But Narad Muni's presence, he's Narad Muni, his presence is also purifying. So he doesn't utter any abusive words. Okay. Now let's read 238. Navkishori Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandrat Pranam.
Pranam.
गौसानी प्रयाण पथ चरी के नैला तोम देखी मोरा लक्ष्य मृगा पलैला. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. The hunter addressed Narad Muni, O Goswami, O great saintly person, why have you left the general path? Sorry, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
General path through the forest to come to me. Simply by seeing you, all animals I was hunting have now fled. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you.
No. So he's expressing his, his unhappiness at what Narad Muni has done, because the animals that he wanted to hunt have now fled because Narad Muni has come to the forest. The general path he has left, he's come inside the forest and he was walking in the open. Seeing him, the animals are fleeing. So the hunter is asking that, why have you come here? Now Narad Muni is going to reply. Lalita Vinodini Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. नारद कही पता भूली आयला न पूछीते मने एक संशय हया ताह कंडाईते. Translation by Divendra Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Narada Muni replied, leaving the path, I have come to you to settle a doubt that is in my mind. Hare Krishna.
Narad Muni is saying that the reason why I'm coming here is because I have a doubt. I want to clarify that. Okay, 240. Would someone like to read? Yes, Mataji, please read.
Hare Krishna. Atrayeshu kara mriga jani to mara haya vyadha kahe eka sehita nishchaya. Translation by Divendra Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. I was wondering whether all the boars and other animals that are half killed belong to you. Purport by Divendra Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. The hunter replied, yes, what you are saying is so. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Narad Muni is asking, there are all these animals that I've been seeing on the path, and they are not fully dead, they are half killed. Have you done that? And yes, Mrikari says, yes, this is my doing. Okay. Okay, 241, Krishnamurti Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Narada kahe yadi jive mara tumi bana ardha mara kara kene nalavo parana. Translation by Sri Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada ki jai. Narada Muni then inquired, why did you not kill the animals completely? Why did you half kill them by piercing their bodies with arrows? Hare Krishna Mataji.
So the condition in which the animals were found was very precarious. It was very sad, and that's why he's asking that why have you left them half dead? No, half alive, half dead. Why don't you kill them completely? Okay, so now the hunter is going to reply. Archana Mataji, 242.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Vyada kahe shona goshani mrigari mora nama pitara shikshate ami kari aiche kama. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The hunter replied, my dear saintly person, my name is Mrigari, enemy of animals. My father taught me to kill them in that way. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Mrigari is telling, he's giving his introduction that I am Mrigari, I am the enemy of animals, and my father has taught me this. Whatever I'm doing, leaving them half dead, my father has taught me this. Okay? Yeah. Archana Mataji, 243.
Hare Krishna. Ardhamara jivayadi dadvada kare tabeta ananda mora bhadaye antare. Translation by Prabhupada ki jai. When I see half-killed animals suffer, I feel great pleasure. Hare Krishna.
So we can understand at what level Mrigari's consciousness was, because he's feeling great pleasure when he's seeing half-killed animals who are suffering. Okay, so that gives him pleasure. That's his level of consciousness. Okay. Padma Mataji, 244.
Hare Krishna Mataji. नारद कहे एक वस्तु मांगी तुम्हार स्थाने व्याधि कहे गादी लहा यही तुम्हारा माने. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Narada Muni then told the hunter, I have one thing to beg of you. The hunter replied, you may take whatever animals or anything else you would like. Thank you, Mataji. Pranam.
So Narad Muni, he says that there's something I want to beg of you, and what can Mrigari think of? He's thinking that maybe Narad Muni wants some animal or some animal, something that is coming out of the animal. Those are the different options he's going to give to Narad Muni now. Mataji, you want to read the next also? 245.
Okay, Mataji. मृग चाहयाति ऐसा मोरा कहे यही चाहता दिबा मृग व्याघ्र ग्रहंबरे. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I have many skins. If you would like them, I shall give you either a deer skin or a tiger skin. Hare Krishna.
So he's thinking, okay, you need any of these animals? No, okay, you want deer skin, you want tiger skin. I can give all these things to you. That's all he's able to think of. Okay, now let's see 246. Lalita Vinodini Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. नारद कहे इहामी किचु नहीं चाही आर एकदा न आमी मागी तो मथानी. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Narada Muni said, I do not want any of the skins. I am asking only one thing from you in charity. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Narad Muni is saying that no, I don't want this skin, that skin, I don't want all that. I just want one thing in charity, and that Narad Muni is going to mention in the upcoming verses. Okay. On 247, Shobha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, pranams.
Pranam.
Krishnaraj Kaviraj Goswami ki jai. Kali haite tumi ai mrghati mari bha prathame mariba artha mara na kariba. Translation by Sri Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I beg you that from this day on you will kill animals completely and not leave them half dead. Haribol, thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. So Narad Muni will gradually lift his consciousness. He's not telling him, oh, just stop this activity completely, because he's understanding that Brigari's consciousness is at a very low level. So gradually he's trying to change what he's doing. So he's saying that at least, this is what you want to do, this is what you have learned, killing, at least kill the animals completely. At one go they suffer, but that suffering ends. Don't leave them half dead, because that just extends their suffering and it makes it so much more worse. We say, stop doing this half killing thing. Okay. Now let's read 248. Uma Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
व्यादा कहे कि भाधना मागिला मारे अद्दा मारिला मारिले की बा अद्दा मारिला की बहाया ताहा कहा मोरे. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. The hunter replied, "My dear sir, what are you asking of me? What is wrong with the animals lying there half killed? Will you please explain this to me?" Hare Krishna Mataji.
So Brigari is not able to even understand this, that if there is an animal that is half killed, lying half killed, that animal is actually undergoing a lot of suffering. He's not able to see that there is something wrong in that. So he's asking, what is wrong with it? So please explain that to me. Okay. Now Narad Muni is going to reply. Navkishori Mataji. 249.
हरे कृष्ण माता जी.
Hare Krishna.
नारदा कहे अर्धा मरीले जीवा पाया व्यथा जीवे दुख दीतेच्या तुम्हारा है बेबी एचा अवस्था. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Narad Muni replied, if you leave the animals half dead, you are purposefully giving them pain. Therefore, you will have to suffer in a retaliation. Should I read purport, Mataji?
Yeah, Mataji, if you're comfortable.
Okay. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This is an authoritative statement given by the greatest authority, Narad Muni. If one gives another living entity unnecessary pain, one will certainly be punished by the laws of nature with a small similar pain. Although the hunter Migrari was uncivilized, he still had to suffer the results of his sinful activities. However, if a civilized man kills animals regularly in a slaughterhouse to maintain his so-called civilization, using scientific methods and machines to kill animals, one cannot even estimate the suffering awaiting him. So-called civilized people consider themselves very advanced in education, but they do not know about the stringent laws of nature. According to nature's law, it is a life for a life. We can hardly imagine the suffering of one who maintains slaughterhouses. He endures suffering on not only in this life but in his next life also. It is said that a hunter, murderer, or a killer is advised not to live and not to die. If he lives, he accumulates even more sins, which brings about more suffering in a future life. He is advised not to die because his dying means that he immediately begins to endure more suffering. Therefore, he is advised not to live and not to die. As followers of the Vedic principles, we accept the statements of Narad Muni in this regard. It is our duty to see that no one suffers due to sinful activities. Foolish rascals are described in the Bhagavad Gita as Mayaya Prahita Gnanaha, which indicates that although they are superficially educated, Maya has taken their real knowledge away. Such people are presently leading human society. In Srimad Bhagavatam, they are described as Sandha, Anda yatan dair upantya manaha. These rascals are themselves blind, and yet they are leading others who are blind. When people follow such leaders, they suffer unlimited pains in the future. Despite so-called advancement, all this is happening. Who is safe? Who is happy? Who is without anxiety? Hare Krishna Mataji. Nandutama. Thank you.
So Narad Muni is saying that if you're leaving the animals half dead, you're purposefully giving them so much pain. Therefore, you will have to suffer in retaliation. So the law of karma is very, very fair, right? So Narad Muni is explaining that to Mrigari now. And Prabhupada is explaining that this is an authoritative statement given by the greatest authority, Narad Muni. If one living entity gives pain to another living entity, then they will definitely be punished by the laws of nature with a similar pain. So law of karma is very, very stringent and it is very fair. So whatever suffering or which may be coming on us, we can also understand that there's something wrong that I have done because of which I'm suffering. That is one thing that we can also learn. And here Prabhupada explains that Grigari, even though he was not from the civilized, so-called civilized society, but still law of karma is working. Like for example, if there is fire and somebody doesn't know that the fire will burn their hand and they go put their hand in fire, the fire will still burn them. So just because they're not they're ignorant of the result doesn't mean that the fire will not burn them. So ignorance of the law is no excuse. So Mrigari, even though he's coming from uncivilized society, still he will suffer if he's killing the animals. And then Prabhupada talks about the so-called civilized people who are running these big slaughterhouses. Prabhupada says that one cannot even estimate the suffering awaiting them because at such a mass level they are engaging in animal killing. And as according to the nature's law, it is a life for a life. So we can hardly imagine the sufferings of those who are maintaining slaughterhouses. They endure sufferings not only in this life but in the next life also. And Prabhupada says that it is said that a hunter, murderer, or killer is advised not to live and not to die. See, because if they are living, then they are accumulating more sins. If they are dying, then they will get the results of their karma. So for them, it is really a very, very strange and very uncomfortable and very unthinkable position that they are in because they are engaging in such a heinous crime of killing animals at such a large scale, or people who are killing other human beings also. Just little pain also, if we are inflicting on someone, we'll get it back. So just imagine the act of actually killing someone. And then Prabhupada explains that followers of the Vedic principles, we accept the statements of Narad Muni. And because if we are not accepting what the scriptures are saying, then we are Maya Aparita Jnana. Bhagavad Gita says that foolish rascals, they are superficially educated, but Maya has taken their real knowledge away. They don't believe in scriptures, and they are sadly, many of them are leading human society. And Srimad Bhagavatam describes them as Anda Yathander Upaniyamana. These rascals are themselves blind and yet they are leading those who are blind. When people follow such leaders, they suffer unlimited pain. So that's what we have seen, right? I mean, the society is definitely advancing in many different ways. But really, are people really safe? Are really people happy? Are people really without anxiety? That is something that we need to ask. And when we ask these questions, we know the answer to these questions, and that answer will tell us that this kind of the degradation that has come about in society is because the blind are following the blind. And if we keep engaging in these sinful activities, then the result is only going to be a lot more pain only for the society. Okay, yeah, let's read 250. Archana Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
यथा तुम्हें जीवा मारा अल्प अपराध तुम्हारा कदर्थ न दिया मारा ये पापा अबारा. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Narada Muni continued, My dear hunter, your business is killing animals. That is a slight offense on your part. But when you consciously give them unnecessary pain by leaving them half dead, you incur very great sins. Purport. This is another good instruction to animal killers. There are always animal killers and animal eaters in the human society because less civilized people are accustomed to eating meat. In Vedic civilization, meat eaters are advised to kill an animal for the goddess Kali or a similar demigod. This is in order not to give the animal unnecessary pain as slaughterhouses do. In the Balidana sacrifice to a demigod, it is recommended to cut the throat of an animal with one slice. This should be done on a dark moon night, and the painful noises expressed by the animal at the time of being slaughtered are not to be heard by anyone. There are also many other restrictions. Slaughter is allowed only once a month, and the killer of the animal has to suffer similar pains in the next life. At the present moment, the so called civilized men do not sacrifice animals to a deity in a religious or ritualistic way. They openly kill animals daily by the thousands for no purpose other than the satisfaction of the tongue. Because of this, entire world is suffering in so many ways. Politicians are unnecessarily declaring war, and according to the stringent laws of material nature, massacres are taking place between nations. प्रकृते क्रियमाणानि गुणकर्माणि सर्वश अहङ्कार विमूढात्मा कर्ताहमिति मन्यते. The bewildered spirit soul, under the influence of three modes of material nature, thinks himself to be the doer of activities that are actually carried out by nature. Bhagavad Gita 3.27. The laws of Prakriti are very stringent. No one should think that he has freedom to kill animals and not to suffer the consequences. One cannot be safe by doing this. Narada Muni herein says that animal killing is offensive, especially when animals are given unnecessary pain. Meat eaters and animal killers are advised not to purchase meat from the slaughterhouse. They can worship Kali once a month, kill some unimportant animal and eat it. Even by following this method, one is still an offender. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Ji. So Narad Muni is explaining that, my dear hunter, Megari, your business is killing animals. That is definitely an offense. But when you are consciously giving them unnecessary pain by leaving them harmed, you incur very great sin. So Narad Muni is trying to explain this to Megari, that he's going to suffer the results of the pain that he is inflicting on these animals. And Prabhupada explains that in Vedic civilization, because there were some people who just had to eat meat, so for them it was that they had to sacrifice and offer it to goddess Kali or a similar demigod, and that was to be done on a dark moon night only once a month, and the painful noises were not to be heard by anyone. So there were some restrictions because some people just could not live without it. But even those people would suffer the consequences of what they are doing. But at least this was in some way limiting the meat eating. Not like now, when animals are killed by the thousands and people are eating meat daily. So this has become very uncivilized way of doing this now, and because of that, the entire world is suffering in so many ways. There's so many wars, famines, droughts, because at a very large scale, animal killing is taking place. And then Prabhupada is quoting from Bhagavad Gita and explaining that the laws of nature are very stringent. No one can think that one can kill animals and not suffer the consequences. One cannot be safe by doing this. So animal killing is very, very offensive, and it is even worse when the animals are given unnecessary pain. Okay, so this is a very big lesson that is being given for the people who are into meat eating. Okay, so let's stop at 2:50 today. Any questions, comments, corrections?
Hare Krishna Mataji, I heard that when they give bali, in front of Mother Kali, they look at the eyes of the animal and say, "This birth I'm killing you and I'm eating you. Next birth you kill me and you eat me." Is that true, Mataji?
Yeah, Mataji, I have also heard that, because that is the whole concept, right? I'm killing you, next birth you will kill me, and that is actually what is going to happen. If one is killing, then one is also going to get killed. So I have also heard that. I don't know if it is given in the scriptures anywhere, but for sure, this is something we can be sure of, that if a person is killing someone, then this person will also get killed in the next life, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Mataji.
Right. Mataji, you had asked about Tapaloka, right? last class.
Yeah.
So the the gradation, there is Bhulok, then above that comes Bhuvarlok, then Svarlok, then Maharlok, then Janalok, and then comes Tapalok. Tapalok is just before Satyaloka. Satyaloka is Brahmaji's planet, and in Tapaloka, there are those beings, they are called Rajas, and they are highly knowledgeable, pure and enlightened, and they can easily travel to even Satya Loka and come back. And so it's very elevated planet, as we can understand, still in the material world, but very, very elevated and highly knowledgeable and pure living entities get to go there.
But does it get very hot, Mataji? Tapa means this is Tapaloka?
Tapa is tapasya, Mataji. That tapa.
Okay, that's tapasya.
Yeah.
Okay. Even in this, what we went through today, that the Siddha Loka, no? They also the people are very elevated, no? They can go to other planets.
They are able to travel, yeah.
Yeah, what we read today.
Yes.
Yeah. Purport 230.
Yes, Mataji, we read about Siddha Loka. They have the ability to travel between planets.
One time to another.
Yeah, all as we go higher up, na Mataji, the abilities, they all keep increasing. The suffering keeps reducing. I mean, still in the material world, their life will also end, but the abilities and all keep increasing.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
You all, thank you so much for joining. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Shri Krishna Kaviraj Goswami ki
Swami ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Pancha Kalpatrubhyascha.
Kalpatrubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anant Vaishnavi ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you all. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.